Welcome back to Talking Prep, and I am Mila Huffman, adult nurse practitioner who specializes in HIV care and prevention. So in our first video, we talked about what we would be talking about, and that was PrEP and HIV. So I think it's important that we actually know what PrEP prevents, which is HIV. So I would actually like to talk about how I got interested in HIV, and I'll draw you a picture about how the virus actually affects your immune cells. So about me first, I got first introduced to HIV in undergraduate school. My very first class in biology, we had a guest speaker that came and talked about HIV. That was a long time ago. But so there wasn't as much advancement in HIV care and prevention as it is today. And we talked about how the virus affects the human body. And at that point, I was hooked. I was so interested in how the virus affected the human body and what it did to the human body. And I made it my mission to eventually work with HIV patients. And I strive to do that through my nursing education and also in my career as a nurse and a nurse practitioner. I really wanted to work with the patients who were HIV positive or prevent HIV infection and educate the community. I started out in a clinic in South Texas where I was first introduced to HIV care, and it was at that moment that I knew this is exactly where I needed to be. And then I come to Atlanta, and I've worked in several different areas of HIV care. I've worked in HIV research. I've worked in the clinic setting in which I did take care of HIV positive patients. And I am currently working in prevention with PrEP, which is why I'm so interested in educating you guys on PrEP and telling you exactly how it works and what it prevents and how you can actually get access to it. So what I'll do now is draw you a picture, kind of, bear with me, about how HIV actually gets into the immune cell and how it makes copies of itself. And I think that this is important for you to understand, because if you know how it affects you, then I think that it takes away some of the mystery of it, and you may be more willing to make an educated an educated decision to take the medication. So let's get started. So this big cell is what I'm going to call your CD4 cell. So this is your immune cell right here, this big cell. And HIV or viruses are usually really small, and they have like little tentacles or things that allows them to attach to whatever their target cell is. So this is HIV, and it's floating through your blood, and then it finds your immune cell, and your immune cell has a receptor on it that allows the HIV cell to actually attach to it. So once it finds the match, and it's like it fits in perfectly to this receptor, and it attaches to your cell, and then HIV will fuse to the CD4 cell, right? So when it fuses to the cell or the cell membrane, then what it does is it releases its package, which has its RNA, which is the information that it needs in order to make copies of itself. So once it enters into your cell, it's RNA, which is only single. So it's RNA, and it releases this reverse transcriptase enzyme. It's just an enzyme that it releases as well. And then once it gets into the cell, it turns its RNA with the help of this enzyme into DNA. So now that it's DNA, and as you know, DNA is the information or the gene part of a human cell. So it's what tells a cell to be what it should be. And this is the nucleus of the human cell. once it's DNA, it goes over and enters into the nucleus here, right? Because this has DNA in it. So it enters into the cell here. I like to say that this is the party it's entering into, because once it's into the nucleus, what it does is it inserts itself into the human DNA. Once it's inserted into the human DNA, now it can actually get out of the nucleus, back into the cell, and start to make copies of itself. Well, copies of the information that it's going to take out of the cell. Then it will move closer to the cell membrane, where it will actually bud off, so it can start, and it's going to take, this is what's considered an immature cell at this point. And then once it gets out of here into the atmosphere, it has another enzyme that allows it to be, I say atmosphere, it's more like outside of the cell, it's not really the atmosphere, but gets into your bloodstream or just outside of the CD4 cell. It will have an enzyme in there that will make it a mature cell. And then this process starts over and over and over again, millions and millions of times, making millions of copies of itself. So it enters, releases information, goes from RNA to DNA, goes into the nucleus, and inserts itself into the human DNA, and then comes out here and makes copies, and then goes out into the world or into the bloodstream. So that's pretty much how it works. And what I would like to do in our next video is actually really show you where PrEP works in this full cycle and how it's important with stopping the replication of HIV, which is really important. What I got this information, I was gonna show you just a picture of it, but sometimes I find, as a visual learner, I find that if the process is actually drawn, it helps me to understand it better. But also if I see the actual picture, it helps me as well. So what I'll do is post the picture in the video, and I got the information from AIDSinfo.org, and there's a great picture there, which is where I got this from, and I'll leave that link in the video as well. So this is pretty much how HIV works. Now, once this happens, it kills off all of your CD4 cell counts, which is actually, or your CD4 cells, which actually keeps you healthy. So if you don't have those cells to keep you healthy anymore, or to fight off infection, you no longer have an immune system. So as you can see, as this continues to happen, it's killing off all of your immune cells. You are immunocompromised at that point. And again, we'll talk about how PrEP actually prevents this from happening in the next video. Leave me questions in the comments section, and come back and learn how PrEP will prevent this from happening. All right, see you.